Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Sister Circle podcast. I am here with the beautiful, multi talented Donna Marbury. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to be
Yeah.
here.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us. I want to start with just you sharing your journey. I feel like you've had an amazing career thus far, going in corporate, working with agencies, also running your own consulting firm. So kind of tell us about, your journey and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot as I'm in a transitional period. And I'm like, I got like 20 plus years out here. So,
Yeah.
but I started in journalism. I was a reporter for the Columbus Post, which was a weekly Black owned newspaper.
Mhm.
Um, And, that was a really good foundation for me because it just hit a lot of points. Like, I'm very curious. I like to
Mhm.
be out and about. Of course, I like writing and editing in that process. And I just care about people in the community. And so that was a really important job for me. And I think it really set the foundation for my career choices down the line.
Mhm.
I am a typical millennial. I have had a million jobs.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had a job past like 5 years,
Okay.
honestly. Um, so I worked at the Ohio Chamber of Commerce for about 3-ish years.
Mhm.
Um, when I got bored with that, that was my first launch into entrepreneurship
Okay.
when I was doing like public relations and like artist management.
Okay.
So I did that for several years. I worked for Who's Who Publishing. They create the Who's
I
Who Black.
interned there in college.
Yes. So I worked there for a spell and
Yeah.
I was laid off from there.
Okay.
And at that point, I had been doing a lot of like public relations, other stuff. This was when digital and social media was starting to emerge.
Mhm.
And I was like dipping into all that stuff, but I just really miss writing. And so I decided to go to grad school, and that's when I went to Northwestern um, and got my graduate degree. And then after that, I mean, I worked for a magazine for a little bit. Um, I was working for this magazine, and then I had a baby, and
Mhm.
the schedule was so unflexible. Like they didn't want any, they wanted me in the office five,
Mhm.
6 or 6, 7, 8 hours a day, sometimes more, because with the publication, sometimes you're there till 9, 10 o'clock at night, and it just wasn't working out. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and where else have I worked? I worked for State Teachers Retirement System. I helped them launch their social media platforms. And that was a cool job as well. But I ran into, again, them not offering flexibility to me as a mother. And so
Yeah.
I would be like 15 minutes late, and they would be like, you need to use your PTO for
For
your
15
time.
minutes?
Yeah. And I'm just like, I cannot work somewhere that is nickel and diming me on my time when I have a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
Like it was very pivotal to my career choices from that point
Mhm.
on. Um, I worked at Smart Columbus, which was one of my favorite jobs. But they lost their grant funding, so I was laid off. And then I entered into my second round of entrepreneurship
Mhm.
when I became a consultant and started to work with other marketing agencies.
Okay.
I was then hired on with Warhol and Wall Street, and things were going great there. And I was recruited to work at Aetna, which I
Mhm.
was just recently laid off from.
Mhm.
So I was laid off in October from there. So I had been there for a little over a year.
Mhm.
So this is still very fresh and new. So I am once again at a point where I've been really looking at my career strengths with the things that I've learned, the things that I know I want to do and I don't want to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to make some really tough choices for myself. Like, do I
Yeah.
want to go back and be a consultant again? There's pros and cons there. Or
Yeah.
am I going to try it again at one of these jobs? I don't know.
Yeah. I love that, just how you've been able to pivot essentially going, like you said, that was like the start of your entrepreneurial journey. Then you had phase 2. Now you are probably in phase 3 now. Um just being able to go back and forth. I feel like when it comes to business ownership and entrepreneurship, there's a lot of there's I don't know, it seems like there's like a culture, if you will, where it's like, okay, now that you're a business owner and entrepreneur, it's like you have to be a business owner or you have to work in corporate,
Mhm.
and that's it. And you don't get the freedom to go back and forth. You don't get the freedom to maybe go back to making your business a side hustle and working a corporate job. Like, it seems like culturally we don't allow people to do that. So I love that you have done that. And since you have had that experience, what do you think are some of the like pros and cons that you would tell people if they do want to work full time in corporate versus full time as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think that there's definitely a culture of working for yourself is like the pinnacle of workforce. And
Right.
actually, another entrepreneur told me this, and this is very simple advice, but it's true. You have
Mhm.
to do what's best for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
You have to do what's best for you and your bank account and
Yeah.
your family
Yeah.
and your sanity
Mhm.
because there are times in life when it's just easier to get a check and go home
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not care about all of the infrastructure of the business.
Mhm.
Um, but then again, there are times where it's more convenient to be an entrepreneur or do both.
Yeah.
I think you really have to be in tune. You have to filter out the noise of what
Mhm.
people would think or say, and you really have to think about what's best for you at
Yeah.
that point in time. And so, there's been time, like the last time I was an entrepreneur, I was doing pretty well financially.
Mhm.
Um, my issues were taxes.
Mhm.
Taxes were really hard for
Ooh.
me.
Yeah.
And my wonderful financial advisor was like, you need to hire an employee so that we can bring your
Mhm.
taxes down. And I'm like, girl, I didn't clear like $60,000. Like, I can't hire no
Yeah.
employee. And I
Right.
worked hard for that. I mean, to
Mhm.
clear it, like I felt like accomplished and like it was getting me by. So I'm
Yeah.
like, how are we gonna hire an employee?
Mhm.
Um, the business side of business is a whole nother animal. Like you have to nurture that as
Yeah.
well as whatever talent you have.
Yeah, that is woo, them taxes. And me, I'm like, look, write off everything that we possibly can without having the big three coming over
Yeah.
here trying to
I
get
mean,
money
you
from
do
me.
you turn into Donald Trump. Like
Right. Right.
you
It's like I
silly for a
get it.
minute.
I
Like,
get it.
okay, I see why y'all
Right.
so shrewd out here, cuz
Yeah, but then if you do that, like, I bought another house last year, sold the old one, we bought a new one. And so for those last 2 years of taxes, I couldn't write anything off,
yeah.
or else it's gonna show that I'm not making any money to be able to buy a house, but then that means I'm gonna owe even more on my taxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's one of those things that you have to consider. It's like
Mhm.
you had a life change. You had a
Yeah.
baby, you got to marry, now you want to buy a new house. How does
Mhm.
that look on paper when you're buying a house? I mean,
Right.
when I was consulting, it was during COVID and I
Mhm.
owned my house. I was making money, but I couldn't refinance my house because I
Mhm.
wasn't making enough, money to on paper to
Mm.
refinance my house.
Wow.
And if I was like, well, let me add this, then it would have messed up something else. So it's like
Yeah.
those things are important. And it's not about grind culture, hustle, or nothing like
Mhm.
that. It's like, where am I in my life, where I want to be in the next
Mhm.
5 years or so? What's going to make the most sense? There's
Right.
trade-offs, there's
Yeah.
trade-offs.
Yeah, there's definitely trade-offs, and I think that sometimes people have to remember that everything you see is not what it is all the time.
Not.
And so I love that whoever told you to do what's best for you and your bank account, because that's so real.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and especially with women,
Mhm.
there's additional things that we have to deal with. If you're a mother, you give up time. Time
Yeah.
might be your currency at
Yep.
certain points in your life. So it's like, yes, you can work, an 80-hour week, but is
Mhm.
that going to benefit? Who's that going to benefit at the end of the day?
Right.
You know?
Right. 'Cause that was something that so when I first started my entrepreneur journey, I was like vegan and I was so fit and everything was great. And then I was like, oh yeah, once I'm a business owner, I'm gonna be able to work out whenever I
This
want.
lifestyle.
I'm gonna be so fit. Listen, COVID happened and then it was like backtracking on everything. And then as a woman, there's some things that we like to do. Like we like to get our hair done, our lashes done, our nails done. I went through a season where it's like I'm lashless, nailless. Okay, let me learn how to like do some of these things on my own,
Right.
but then it doesn't look as good. So yeah, it's really comparing like what's the trade-off for you? What are those like non-negotiables? Like if you have to get your lashes done every 2 weeks, then you got to put that into the budget
Right.
because in business ownership, sometimes that income can kind of ebb and flow.
It can ebb and flow. And with me being a writer as well,
Mhm.
the money is and that's one of the things I always consider. It's like, yes, I can get things, lined up, but
Mhm.
when is the
Mhm.
paycheck coming?
Right.
I
Right.
might not get paid for a writing assignment until it's published. It could be 3 months from now. So
Mm,
it's like I'm counting that G from 3 months ago, and it's gone
right.
once I get it. So
Right.
I think that is another thing to kind of think about. Is like, how does your money float? How do you need your
Mhm.
money to float? I think the a great scenario for someone is to try to do both,
Mhm.
because you can decipher the pros and cons for your own self.
Yeah.
If you can manage a full time or part time job that can give you benefits, like that's the pro of a job,
Yeah.
benefits that are easy to manage,
Mhm.
um, a steady paycheck. If
Mhm.
you can manage that along with a side hustle,
Yeah.
and uh, some advice that people always say is like, it's your side hustle until it's your main hustle. So when
Mhm.
that money starts to grow or your time is being impeded on, then you can start considering, okay, should I move forward? Now, I
Yeah.
have always been a leaper. Like, I leap for opportunities.
Mhm.
I read like The Year of Yes by Shonda
Mhm.
Rhimes. So it's
Okay.
like, I'm here, I lean in, I read that book. So I've
Yeah.
always been sort of a person that leaps at opportunities.
Mhm.
However, as I'm getting older, I am learning that to better evaluate
Hmm.
opportunities,
Yeah.
because I'm a little less risk averse. And then I be wanting to know, why is this opportunity available? Like,
Mm.
so
Yeah.
I think, if you can do both, you can really kind of figure out, what are my pain points.
Mhm.
Don't ever let anybody tell you that, well, just stop getting your lashes done. Like, if that's something you want to
Right.
do, like you
Right.
said, you need to add it into your income, into your budget.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like, okay, if I don't get this $75 a month or whatever,
Right.
that's gonna be a problem.
Right. I love the idea of doing both. Something I wish I would have done because I'm pretty much a leaper as well, and I wish I would have like you kept my corporate job a little bit longer and just like maybe let that whole check go into like a savings account
Hmm.
and then completely lived off of my business to
Yeah,
see how it would feel
how
first
it would feel. Yeah,
before jumping in and doing it because I think, it feels different when you're getting both incomes coming in. So now it's like I can just play. I
yeah,
can go buy a new purse, I can go on vacation. But then when you're dependent on just one of those, then you really start to feel it. So even if you can just pretend that you only have one of those incomes and kind of just see how it feels, maybe even pay some things off. I wish I would have, paid off my car before
yeah,
I quit,
absolutely.
just little things like that so when you do make that leap, you don't have all these extra expenses kind of like lingering on.
Yeah, and like that's really important to think about because when I was side hustling, it's
Mhm.
fun for me. It's funner. Writing as a side hustle or being a creative person, it's fun to jump on somebody's call and they're doing a party and it's like, yeah, let's have this. But when it becomes your full-time job, it's
Mhm.
not as fun. I
Mhm.
also wanted to mention, like, you also have to invest in your business.
Yeah.
So you have to buy upgraded tools. You might need a new computer. You might need a better
Mhm.
phone. You might
Mhm.
need a better phone service, faster internet.
Mhm.
If you're in any type of creative you might need to invest in a camera. Like all of
Mhm.
these investments, these tangible investments, but even the not tangible investments like branding,
Yeah.
marketing,
Mhm.
networking. That's an investment. So it's like, yeah, you're making some money, but how much of your money has to go back into your business
Right.
instead of your pocket?
Mhm. That's a really good point. And then not to mention, you said you have a son, I have two daughters. And with kids, things come up. And you can't really like even yesterday, Tegan came home and said, I guess at school they were doing like a little shop thing where they were trying to teach kids about budgeting, but they could also buy gifts for like
Hmm.
their family or whatever. And so she's like, "Oh yeah, I need money for this tomorrow." And it's like, you're asking me today, but you
Right,
need it tomorrow, but it's like, "Okay, so what do I do?" I mean, like, of course, "Alright, here's $5, like, hope that helps."
right.
But, you know, anything can come up, and we know summer camps can be expensive,
Summer camp.
and different activities that that they do can cost. So, like, how do you manage, your career as well as being a mom too?
I mean, this is a constant question for me.
Mhm.
Um, and especially since I'm in a space now where I have more control over my next step.
Mhm.
It's very important to me to be active in my son's um, school and life.
Yeah.
He's in private school, and he enjoys when I come to the field
Mhm.
trips and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I see value in showing up and being an advocate for him. That has become a more of a priority to me than work at times.
Yeah.
And so I really need to think about careers, moves, and jobs that are open for that.
Yeah.
And consulting lends itself to that. Like,
Mhm.
you can set your own hours. You can certainly like schedule around those important things.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm keep that in mind. I think it is terrible that women have to struggle so much in this area.
Yeah, it's like the fact that we even have to plan work and motherhood is crazy.
Yeah, and anytime I've been a leader, I never ask for, like, if somebody says they need time
Hmm.
off, that's it. Period.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to lead this meeting at 2 o'clock. Okay. Well, my daughter, okay, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
you can tell me to be nice, but you don't need to
Right,
justify
right.
why you need an hour shaved off. Like, as much as
Hmm.
we give to even a client or corporate job or whatever, you can
Yeah,
give people that kind of flexibility.
yeah, I agree. And I think it's hard to find. I thought that, during COVID, it became like a cute thing to see people's kids, and be behind them in a meeting. And, there's that viral clip of the news anchor who was
Yeah,
doing like a national news and like kids in the background, wife's trying to get the kid out the room. But it seems like slowly the culture is trying to push back into
absolutely.
separating, work and family. And something that I try to be intentional about is when I'm like even posting for my business, that every so often I'm posting my kids.
Hmm.
Even, yesterday I had an all day client meeting from like 9 to 4. It was like a
Yeah,
strategy session for 2025. And my husband works second shift. So either he would have to, drop the baby off somewhere and then I would go pick her up, or I would just have to take her with me. And I was already gone last week. So I'm like, well, I don't want to ask for a babysitter when I
yeah,
just had babysitters over the weekend.
yeah.
So it's like, oh well, like she has to come. And so I brought like all the snacks, all the toys, like here you go, gave her a corner, and it just was what it was.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to establish that, like, when people see me or associate like, hey, you want to work with me, there's a 50-50 chance I might have to
right.
bring my kid into a meeting. It just is what it
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, you are starting to see remote positions kind of dissipate. You're
is. Mhm.
starting to see like more of that separation. But then there are clients and jobs that are very upfront, like
Mhm.
and they're usually women that run,
Yeah.
where they're like, we want you to bring your whole self and unlimited PTO and those type of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
Some positions, they'll have stuff for kids in the office or
Mhm.
offer childcare. I think, but I just seen today that like AT&T is making all of their people come back in the office
Oh,
for a
wow.
5 day work week, and I think the implications of that is like if you're getting used to like not having to pay for daycare,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you are dropping that every week, it's a lot.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I that's something like I said, I used to leap at opportunities and now I'm a little more investigative. Those are
Yeah.
the type of things that you have to ask and tell clients up front or
Right.
even jobs.
Yeah.
I know people say don't mention your kids in job interviews. I always
Mhm.
mention that I'm a mom because
Yeah.
I need to know upfront. And you might not be able to ask. It might be not, but that's just always my advice. Even the
Yeah.
men, like
Mhm.
tell people you have kids so they
Yeah.
know what they're getting in you. Like they can't work you until 12 hours a day.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think so. I've been bringing this up every time I get to talk to another mom about this term that I just recently found about invisible labor.
Mm,
Where it's like, women and moms carry this invisible labor. And even as a society, we assume, like, like you said, even dads telling the job that they have kids. In those scenarios, people just assume, like, okay, well, he has kids, but his wife will take
yes.
care of them, or his girlfriend, or baby mama, or whatever.
Right.
And just automatically put all this pressure on women and moms to do both,
Yeah.
to be completely 100% in it at work, and then also completely 100% in it at home. And it's draining, and it's hard to be 100% in both places every single day.
It's difficult. And once again, it's like you have to do what's best for you. Like
Mhm.
I keep coming back to that. I am in a pretty serious relationship now. And
Mhm.
though it's a great relationship, it's still a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
additional labor of
Yeah.
emotional labor, but like extra laundry and extra
Right.
cleaning, and
Yeah.
as much as you share in that, it's still like you only have so much allotted of your
Right.
time, of
Right.
when do you have time for yourself to nurture yourself.
Mhm.
So once again, like you have to do what's best for you. Are you in
Mhm.
a place in life where you really want to charge forward with your career?
Mhm.
And that could be like when your kids are in high school, or I don't know. People have different periods in life where they're like, okay, I'm focusing on my career, I'm taking on the extra projects,
Yeah.
I'm going to all the conferences, I'm doing
Mhm.
this. Even if it's a 6 month period or something, you might be able to carve those out. Like, okay, 3 months, my kids are on summer break. I'm
Mhm.
about to hit up all the networking. I'm doing, whatever.
Right.
But there might be times in your career where it's like the boss is like, well, who's up for this? And you need to just sit back and be quiet. Like,
Mhm.
stop raising
Right.
your hand so much. Stop taking
Mhm.
on so many things.
Yeah.
Turning down assignments and projects. Like, no, I can't do it. I'm
Right.
focusing on home. I um have been lucky in my layoff that it has coincided with my son being in the fifth grade. And listen, this fifth grade math,
I don't even wanna think about that.
I said, listen, fractions don't even exist in the real world. Like, let
You
me tell you
know,
something.
like, what's the point?
There's no such thing as fractions when you become an adult.
Yeah.
But I had to kind of buckle in with him in school and help him a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so I had time to do that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knowing when it's time, I was just talking to some ladies about that. Like, you might have seasons where, like, this is your hustle season, and then maybe, the next and you can give yourself a finish line. Like you said, okay, it's summer
Yeah.
break, the kids are in camp all day. I'm gonna, hustle for the next 3 months, or they might be at their dad's for the summer,
Yeah.
whatever. And now you can really focus on you and make sure that if there's, think projects you wanted to take on, things you wanted to try, you can do it during that
Yeah.
time. I love that.
Yeah.
And so with you with writing, have you always been a writer, or is that something that came to you just over time? Were you like a journaler as a teenager?
Yes, I was always really curious about I entered writing through songs, through music.
Okay.
So I used to love reading like
Mhm.
the CDs, the like but liner notes and the CD
Yeah.
cases and stuff.
Yeah.
And I loved Sade. And I'm like, I
Okay.
don't know what this lady does, but I need her life. Like her life was just so like she had all kind of paramours, and I was just
Mhm.
like, girl, like you're living the life. So I loved just reading her lyrics and her
Mm,
lifestyle. So yes, I was journaling and didn't really know what that meant. I learned about
mm.
poetry, and my parents were kind of like, you can't be a poet. Like, what are you doing with your life? Um, so I went to Wright State, and when I was an English and education major,
Okay.
and quickly learned that education was not my thing.
Mm,
So I majored in English and professional writing. Now,
okay.
I had interests as a child that people thought were silly. Like,
Mm,
I really love magazines
okay.
and Cosmo and 17 and all that stuff. Even like YSB magazine and
Mhm.
Vibe. I love magazines. Now, there's always like, and I remember this because it's my life. There's always jokes in like movies and TV about like, oh, she doesn't read books, she reads magazines. And I would
Mhm.
always feel a way about that. Like,
Like, what's wrong with that?
that's me. Like, I'm someone
Right.
who loves a magazine. Um, so when I was in school, I learned a lot about like journalism and magazine writing. And
Mhm.
I think magazine writing is the best type of writing there is, because it's artistic, but it's also very timely, and
Yeah.
it's very accessible to people.
Mhm.
So yeah, I started my first real job was as a writer. And it was very difficult because there's different kinds of writing. I come from a very creative space. So I had
Yeah.
to learn how to write a little more formally.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I really enjoy learning different styles of writing. That really lent to me moving into social media and digital.
Okay.
So one of my jobs I had, we used to mail out newsletters every week. Listen, this is
Okay.
the Stone Age. We used to print out like 2,000 newsletters every Friday and mail them every
Wow.
week.
I
And
was gonna
I
say
said
that was weekly. Wow.
weekly, we had a folder machine. We would put the paper in there and would fold it like
Wow.
very, very hands on. I said, guys, I learned about this thing. It's called constant contact.
And
We
were
are
they
just
on board or were they like,
Yes, they're
"Oh,
like,
crazy?"
"What?" I'm
Okay.
like, "We are just sending, like, paper planes out in the world, like, we have no
Yeah.
idea if we got the right addresses, if people are reading it,
Right.
if they have feedback." I'm
Mhm.
like, "We need to put this newsletter online."
Yeah.
And so, having that, like, journalism background, I could definitely create the thing, but then
Mhm.
I was just in a space where I was had my ear to the street, like,
Yeah.
things are changing. We need
Mhm.
to change along with it. It surprised me every time that companies did not or are not on top of these things. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you
I feel like
probably
there's
experienced
still
stuff like
oh,
that.
oh, yeah, and I feel like there's still some where, they're kinda doing stuff, but not really, and when I graduated from Ohio Dominican in 2014, and at that time, there was no such thing really as a social media manager unless you
Yeah,
wanted to move to, like, LA or Chicago or
yeah,
New York
yeah.
or something like that. It really wasn't seen as, like, a huge priority. At the agency that I was at, I l I learned MailChimp simply because we got bonuses every month depending on how much contact we had with our clients, and we had a book of, like, 80 people that we were responsible for.
Oh my gosh, so you could measure it. Like,
Yeah, and so everybody else is, like, on the phone 24/7. I'm like, "No, I'm gonna split this list in 2." So I had an A group and a B group. The A group got phone calls 1 month, the B group got it on the other month, but everybody got emails every single month. And
okay,
so I would say, okay, if somebody opened it, technically that's a contact because they did count emails, like just regular emails, as a point of contact. It'd be like half a point. But I'm
yeah,
like, okay, but I can actually see that they opened it and clicked on something. So
right.
that should count as something. So at the time, I was the only one doing it, so I'm getting all my bonuses, and then I taught the whole office how to do it, and then they stopped counting it as
Yeah.
a point of
Now it's a
contact.
standard practice.
Right, right. But yeah, it was like that too in the beginning, just like finding ways to like be like, okay, we don't have to sit here on the phone and call 80 people every month. Like that's crazy. That's the whole day.
And that brings up another important point
Mhm.
going back to like having a full-time job versus a being an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Are you entrepreneurial? Some
Mm.
people are not.
Yeah.
And I think that is the very important things to know about yourself.
Mhm.
Um, if you're not a self-starter, like all of these words are in job descriptions and stuff, but you really got to think about it. Like, are you
Mhm.
someone who can implement new ideas, bring
Right.
them to the table, show a difference in how it changes business? That's an
Mhm.
entrepreneurial spirit. Now, you
Yeah.
might need to develop it in a career, like, okay, I'm gonna work here for 5 years, get
Mhm.
some tools under my belt, and then fly. But
Yeah.
if you're not someone who's like, I know lots of people who are in communications who don't like being on social media. Like, I don't like being
Mhm.
online. Like,
Yeah.
you might not be an entrepreneur if you're not
Yeah.
someone who's constantly looking at trends and emerging
Mhm.
things and knowing how they fit into, your how they can solve problems.
Right.
It's important to know about yourself. You might not care that much about work, and that's
Right.
okay.
That is totally okay. I mean, honestly, I wish that I could just
Yeah.
be in an environment where all I care about is doing my job and getting paid and going home.
Yeah.
But I just sometimes when I was in spaces, it would just be like, why are y'all doing it like this? Everybody just move. Like, let me
Yeah. Let
do
me show y'all the new
it.
way.
And so
Right.
I just didn't I wasn't a great employee, so I just couldn't
Yeah.
do it. But there's other ways I think too to kind of have in that entrepreneurial kind of lifestyle without necessarily being a business owner. Because
Yeah.
you could just be a freelancer
Hmm.
where maybe you just like go and do projects, and then once the project is done, you're out, and it's
Yeah.
not necessarily a business per se. Like you're the business, not necessarily having like, a full on, company or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're able to get that check and go home and go on vacation or do whatever you want to do and not think about work when you get home at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that either. I think that again, culturally, you said it earlier that people have created this like facade that only until you've become a business owner
Yeah.
have you reached like the pinnacle of life where and that's not necessarily the case either, because we do still need people in corporate spaces who will advocate for people that look
Absolutely.
like us.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I love that I was able to be in corporate for those 5 years before taking that leap, and I had people who had my back and were advocating for me in some of those spaces. And, I think it's important for those who don't wanna necessarily be entrepreneurs to make sure that if they are in these corporate communities or these corporate worlds, that they have people that will be there to help them climb the corporate ladder.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I know I've worked with you before on multiple projects, and I think you do an amazing job with working with clients when really just getting down to the core of like what is their story and
Hmm.
how to tell that story. I mean, we hear people talk about storytelling, but can
Yeah.
you tell us like what does that actually mean?
Yes. That's a good question. And that's interesting. Hold on. I'm going to show you a book real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. It's not up here, but storytelling.
Mhm.
So this is a word that's kind of thrown around in the
Mhm.
corporate spaces. I think if you are really interested in brand storytelling, then you need to start with actual storytelling. Like, you have
Mhm.
to be interested in real stories and like
Yeah.
things like fairy tales. There are
Mhm.
certain archetypes of stories that are always told.
Mhm.
And I was looking for this book because when I read Will Smith's book,
Okay.
an audio book, which I would highly recommend. But he talks about when he became a serious movie actor,
Mm.
and someone gave him this book. I have it. I'll find it. Tell you what the title is. But
Okay.
he's like, you need to decide what kind of star you want to be. Do you want to be a
Mhm.
hero? Do you want to be a villain or antagonist? Like, there are certain journeys that
Mm.
stories that are always told, but either you're fighting an alien or you're fighting a monster, or you're
Right.
in the future or you're in the past, but you're
Mhm.
a certain archetype. And
Mhm.
so those are the type of things I bring into my client work of like, what
Yeah.
kind of business are you? Are you aspirational? Are you, the constant and just thinking of brands off the top of my head, like I went to a conference once and the city of Cleveland was presenting about the
Mhm.
brand of Cleveland. And they're
Mhm.
like, we know that we are the mistake on the lake. We know that,
Oh,
like
that's
we've
sad.
embraced this idea that we're underdogs.
Yeah, yeah.
We had the Browns up here. We got
Yeah.
all, it's cold. Like we embrace that. And that
Mhm.
is part of our city's brand. And
Yeah.
so now, like, you meet a Cleveland person and they're like, all about Cleveland, whereas a
Right.
city like Columbus
Mhm.
struggles with its brand because it wants to be aspirational, but it's not rooted in anything.
Right.
So
Because
it's like
Cleveland people, man, they love them Browns. They
they
love
love their
they love their
Browns
Cavaliers, their
and they're just
Indians. They
have
love
a certain
yeah.
down to earth, like underdog spirit,
Mhm.
but they've
Mhm.
really taken that as a city brand and like it's a part of everything. They're not trying to be a little Chicago or a little New York.
Right.
Like
Right.
they're Cleveland. They're very Ohio.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think about those type of things when I was talking to my clients, like, well, what kind of story are you telling and what do you want
Yeah.
to tell? And how do we put those blocks together?
Yeah.
And that might mean like if you want to be a down to earth, earthy story line or whatever, you might
Mhm.
not be flashy on the social channel. You might not even be on some of them. Um,
Yeah.
you might be more in person events.
Mhm.
Um, so I study stories. I am really intrigued about stories that live forever and live a
Mm.
long time. So I was thinking about that with Wicked. Like,
Mhm.
Wicked is like the story of the Wizard of Oz. It's been
Yeah.
reiterated so many times. And so, from a brand perspective, you can think about like, how do we create a brand and give it so people have it in their own lives, and that like you
Yeah.
call that like when people create their own content. So like McDonald's
Mhm.
is like that. It's like a
Yeah.
legacy. People have their whole own stories about McDonald's. It's a whole story about McRib. It's a whole story about um Happy Meals and the throwback with Grimace and his birthday. Like
Mhm.
they've created this brand that people create their own stories with. And so
Yeah.
um, that's, something I think about a lot. I was
Mm.
thinking about that with the color purple too. Like
Ah,
that's a
yeah, that's a good one.
story that lives on and is evolving.
Mm.
It went from a book to a movie to a play
Mhm.
to another movie,
Yeah.
So it's like
You could probably say that too now that you say that about even The Lion King. There's a
The
new one
Lion
coming
King is
soon. Yeah.
becoming that where it's a story, but people are definitely not as invested in that as they are with like Wicked.
Right.
People
Right.
are, and if you are on the socials, you can see how invested people are in like
Mhm.
it's almost like it really happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that did not happen in Oz, and it's like, well, this isn't a real place.
Right. Yeah, you definitely see people, even trying to sing the songs. I just saw a video yesterday. It was a bunch of people in Walmart
Yeah,
singing. Yeah.
that little last one, but that is
Yeah.
a brand mark. That is
Mhm.
the so it's like that is a part of the story of
Yeah.
this brand.
And I
Essentially,
think a lot of companies try to try to do that part first. They try to
yes,
create these moments before they actually have a brand.
yes, because
So
you have
then
to
it doesn't feel
care.
authentic, right?
Yeah, You absolutely have to care. And, when I was doing I have some client work coming up actually where we're doing some persona building.
Mhm.
I am a huge fan of a persona,
Mhm.
because you can really create a character,
Yeah.
that really that can deeply resonate. And so, if you're
Mhm.
looking at your brand and you may have several different audiences, you really need to think deeply about how these people live and their
Yeah.
behavior and what they care about.
Mhm.
So then you can create, really intentional storylines and moments that deeply resonate with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And so as you go through um helping clients to tell their story, what is like one thing that you suggest people think about as they are creating their brand story?
I think, if the most successful way to go about this, I think, is to, um, think about your audiences.
Mhm.
Your audiences are very important, and it's not necessarily what you want to push out, but it's like, what do they need?
Yeah.
What is interesting to them? We're just in a place in business and branding that you get so much feedback that
Mhm.
it's hard to be someone who pushes ahead
Yeah.
without considering it. You
Mhm.
come across some brands, and I'll try to think some as we're talking, who like clearly don't think about their clients. I'll
Yeah,
tell you
like
one.
Fashion Nova and all those text messages.
Yes. Um, Jaguar, they just rebranded,
Okay.
and it's like a big thing because it's
Mm.
very like um bright colors and pastels and young people. And it's
Hmm.
like, okay, somebody told y'all to do this, and it's not a
Yeah.
bad campaign, but your audience is not young people. Like,
No.
young people are not buying Jaguars.
No. It's definitely like an older, like maybe like 50 plus year old.
Yeah, it's a luxury
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have to talk to those kind. Even advertising on TV
Mhm.
cheapens that brand,
Yeah.
because it's
Mhm.
like they want the know that they're so exclusive they don't even do ads. So
Right.
it's kind of interesting and then you can Google that campaign and look at it.
Yeah.
Um, I know every brand is kind of scared right now because they're trying to backfill, like, who's going to be our next customer. But you have to
Yeah.
spend some time and really think about that. And you have to
Mhm.
think about it against the political climate we're in, the workforce, all of these different things that change people's spending habits and their loyalty
Mhm.
to a client or a customer.
Yeah, and this new car that they have looks like a knockoff of the Tesla
Yeah.
like thing.
And
Hmm.
it's just a interesting pivot. I don't know
Mhm.
how long this campaign is going to run, like, but
Mm.
it is definitely noticeable.
Yeah, very different from what they've had in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about that too as a business owner, like as I grow, how will the company persona or image grow? And I think for companies it's something to consider. In my mind, I kind of feel like the company will grow with me.
Yeah.
um but for like, a Jaguar or, Mercedes Benz, I feel like even though you're thinking about your next customer, it's not like 50, 60-year-old people won't ever exist.
Yeah, like they're
So,
gonna enter into that, and then
yeah,
they'll gain knowledge of it.
right, right. That's interesting. Okay. So, thinking about, all the titles that you have, you said something in your bio that I love. You said mind of a CEO, the heart of an artist, and the eye of a journalist, which I love that.
Yeah.
How do you pour back into yourself? Do you have some self-care habits that you enjoy, or maybe some things you would like to start doing in the new year?
Yeah, so I just completed my 200th yoga class
Oh,
with
nice.
Peloton. So
Love
I
that.
love the Peloton app. Here's a commercial for it. Um,
Right?
I
I
don't
have a
have
bike
the
too. I have the bike, and I haven't been on it in a while, but I do use the sleep meditation like almost
yes.
every
I use the app and
Yeah.
I use it mostly for yoga and strength training. And
Yeah.
I love it. It's my favorite thing to do. I have been trying to do it every day in December, so I probably miss
Yeah.
like a day or two. But
That's
it
good.
definitely changes my like day, either the beginning or the end of the day. So
Yeah.
yoga is really important to me. And self care isn't just like doing stuff. Sometimes it's not doing stuff.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
like I said earlier, I was really a part of that lean in and say yes kind of thing. And
Mhm.
now I'm
Mhm.
just like a no girl. Like,
Yeah.
no, no,
Mhm.
no, no. There's a lot of things I have stepped down from boards that
Yeah.
I used to be a part of that weren't
Mhm.
serving me. So I think, even just reclaiming time to do
Mhm.
nothing or do whatever. Like you just said, like I could have went to this event, but I was like, I'm tired. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. I think I'm getting to a point where I'm saying no more, pulling back more. Or even if I, had intentions on going somewhere, but I just don't have the energy for it. But what I'm trying to work through is the guilt of that.
Mm.
But I'm not sure where the guilt is coming from. Maybe it's just like FOMO
FOMO.
or yeah,
It's
yeah,
like opportunity, like it's a trade-off.
yeah.
It's
Mm,
every time you don't leave the house, it's
mhm.
a potential person you don't meet. It's a
Right.
connection you don't meet. So
Mhm.
yeah, it is a trade-off.
Yeah. I think for me too, when I first started in my like entrepreneurial journey, I was like everywhere, going to every single event, every single thing I can get into, especially, as Tegan got older. But
Yeah.
now it kind of feels like I've had to start over
Yeah.
with the baby. And it's like, okay, now I can't do as much because now when I ask for a babysitter, it's not just one kid, it's two of
Yes, too.
so
It's
then, like, I
different.
feel guilty, like, well, I don't want to ask. I mean, I have to take them with me. So, still trying to like navigate that too, because she's not in daycare for one, because it's expensive.
Yeah.
Um, and so we're trying to like hold out on that as long as
As long as you
possible.
can,
But
for
I
sure.
have been considering, because during the daytime, me and my husband do a good job at like communicating our schedules. And so, making sure that when I have my solid work time, unless he has something to do, and then we work it out. But I have been thinking about maybe I should get like not a nanny or maybe like a babysitter. So if there are those evening things that I want to do instead of me, because what pulls my energy is like getting them ready to be dropped off
Mm.
somewhere. Because
Yes.
it's like I have to get myself ready and then I have to drop them off in enough time to get me to where I need to be on time. So I've been thinking about getting a babysitter kind of thing, like a couple evenings during the
Yeah.
week to
See,
like
what I used
get
to
it.
work with this woman and she had a
Mhm.
mother's helper. And I'm
Oh,
like, what is that? She's like,
okay.
yeah, she just comes over and she'll help me. Like, if I need to do the laundry, she'll play
Oh,
with the kids. She'll
wow.
make dinner if I want to play with the kids. Like, she's just there
Okay.
to help. She'll babysit, she'll go run to the store. And she was
Wow.
like a student.
Yeah, see, I
I
need
do think you need to invest in a babysitter.
Yeah.
Now it is hard because these girls don't babysit like they used to,
I don't.
and they charge like $20 an hour
Right.
sometimes or more,
Right.
which is fair. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a good investment to have, and just being strategic about it. Like,
Mhm.
I need to block all of these things. I need to run errands, and I want to do them
Right.
myself.
Right. Right.
So we're gonna have the babysitter for that. So it's not always just doing stuff for work. It could just be doing
Right.
stuff for your
True. Because I mean, even date nights are
yeah,
hard. It's like now we gotta find a babysitter. Can't drink too much because we gotta go pick
right.
our kids up on the
Yeah.
way home, you know? Yeah, that's a good idea. I love that. Well, as you think about, where you're heading now in your career, what is some like advice that you can give for women out there who are trying to maybe find their passion or even just are getting a taste of what it's like to pivot? What kind of things
Yeah.
would you tell them to keep in mind?
I think considering where we are in just the workforce, you
Hmm.
have to stay ready.
Yeah.
I think the biggest piece of advice I could give anyone, no matter what kind of work you're in, is to stay ready. Like,
Mhm.
be ready to either jump ship or the ship jump you at any point in
Right.
time, because
Mhm.
you just don't know. A lot of these corporations are managing huge debt. They have huge problems that's
Mhm.
beyond you. And
Yeah.
so layoffs are possible for anybody,
Mhm.
no matter where you work. So all of the things of like, if you don't have a website, you need to get a simple one and keep
Mhm.
it updated with your stuff. You need to keep track of every win that you have. So if
Yeah.
you saved some money on a budget, if you have a client that was happy with you, all of
Mhm.
your wins, you need a win like in your notes app, like a win tab, so you can
Mhm.
write those down. So in the event of like your annual review, or you need to update a website or put it on LinkedIn, you have a
Mhm.
whole library of stuff. Like, this is all my wins for the year.
Yes. I literally just told somebody this today.
Yeah. Because you're
Yeah.
gonna remember all the times you messed up.
Right. Right.
You're gonna remember that. But you're
Mhm.
not gonna remember all the times that you're like, oh, Donna, you saved us a weekend of work. That's a
Mhm.
win.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, given the current climate of everything, you just got to be prepared because you can't really predict. I feel like COVID really showed the hand of all these corporations.
Yeah.
Like they're living check to check too. It's just
Yeah.
that their checks are a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But they're still like if one thing goes down up there, like they're still going to be scrambling too. And
Absolutely.
if you're not in that C-suite, you'll probably be out of the door so that they can.
Girl, they at Aetna, where I came from, they fired the CEO of Aetna.
Oh, well, nobody's safe.
Nobody is. I was
Nobody's safe.
surprised. Like, what? She's part of the layoffs? Yes, the
Wow.
whole CEO, not just my division. Like, all of Aetna
Wow.
was fired.
Sheesh. Yeah, it's just we have to stay prepared and, having multiple streams of income too.
Yes.
I'm working on that for myself as well. I've gotten, I at the time I had two streams and then kind of leaned into one more than the other, but definitely something that I'm working on because you never know. Anything can
Yeah,
happen.
I think diversifying your income is really important as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, there are things that I can do, writing and consulting and all these things. But
Hmm.
I've also been thinking about something more like things more practical, like
Hmm.
dog walking and
Mm,
like
yeah.
things that solve problems. Like, if you're
Mhm.
walking around or this and you're listening to your friends and there's a common problem they have, like,
Yeah.
just like you just said with babysitting. Like, why
Mhm.
can't I find a babysitter? Like, that's
Right.
somebody's business, and
Right.
someone that could take it very seriously.
Mhm.
That's a business idea. So it's
Yeah.
like solving problems.
And branding yourself to be the babysitter for busy moms or
Yeah.
for, business, moms in business.
Yeah. Not just the regular babysitter.
Right. Right. Yeah, I love that. Well, if people want to work with you, how can they find you and get connected?
Yeah. So right now, my easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn, Donna Marbury. I made the mistake of letting my website lapse, and now the Russians own it. So
Oh,
I am rebuilding my website right now.
yeah.
Um, so hopefully that will be up soon enough before the end of the year. But LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me, or Donna Marbury at gmail.com. Like, I am constantly in my emails. So at this point I am just considering like project by project basis. And really trying to decide, do I want to jump all the way back in
Yeah.
into entrepreneurship, or should I just take my money and start playing the lottery more? Because
I mean, not a bad idea
did she
either.
even want to work at all? We don't know.
Right. Well, all of Donna's information will be in the
Yeah.
description. Whether you're watching this or listening to this, make sure you check that out so you can get in contact with her. Donna, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you and the insights the gems that you dropped on us today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm always so proud of how you're evolving over time. And I certainly look to you for inspiration and pivoting and growing as well. So anytime you ever need me, and I'm here to be a
Thank
part of
you.
whatever you've dreamed up that's going to be successful. So.
Thank you so much. I love you. For everybody, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow Donna as well. And until next time, we'll see y'all.
Bye, everyone.